It's my
guess,
contribution to lore discussion.
All right, thank you. But I mean,
substitution.
Yep, Elva in,
Casper out,
Venga out.
And on the Pharah composition as well, so we kind of expected this on Blizzard World, and they've waited until they got to Volskaya to really bring this one out. Xinjiang Bao expectedly back onto Sombra.
It's interesting that they're running this with Elva, actually, that's a substitution they want to make here. Because Casper does run a Pharah, so...
maybe Elva's got a better one. That could be a very reasonable reason. And Samurai D is so low right now.
But not dead. That's what counts the most. Ryu, however, is dead. And now Samurai D with that anti-heal on him. Probably going to be dead before too long. At the very least, KIX just slowly but surely chipping their way onto this point.
And chipping their way on the point is exactly how you describe this composition's goal as well. Just get the health bars down, hack onto Samurai D. This time we'll clean him up.
Yeah, Bravelav finishing that one off, and it feels like the pressure is eventually just going to mount from all sides. This triple DPS composition from KIX on this. One of the DPSs actually dies. Eventually, it's going to get enough damage out to kill your members off.
And now that Kimo Hororo's down and demeched and all of that, Elva's just having an even better time. Will likely save this rocket barrage until point B as well. Jupiter cannot contest whatsoever. They've lost far too many members.
And some really late deaths as well on members like Claire and Anakin there. A little bit unfortunate. Jupiter, they are going to all sort of respawn coming into point B, but KIX already kind of there and set up.
This is kind of best case scenario. You've got Nano Boost available. It's already being used. Rocket barrage into effect.
Transcendence out from Sabagod, though, already just kind of answers for most of that damage. And this is the explosiveness of triple DPS. This time it explodes the other way.
That one explodes both.
That is about as literal as I can get with that analogy, right? I mean, KIX threw a lot into that. Didn't really get much for it, and I wouldn't... They're going to change up here.
They threw it in the wrong order, though. You're supposed to EMP first, remove the ability for the Transcendence or the Defense Matrix or anything to come through, then use the Rocket Barrage, the Nano Boost if you have to. And KIX, if they did it in that order, they might have found a lot more success, but now they still have the EMP, but they don't have anything else to use with it. They're going to have to hope for this fight being enough from the EMP to actually get some progress.
Goodness, I never get tired of seeing a Tracer recall back into their own Pulse Bomb. It's beautiful, truly. At any rate, Jupiter, now they've kind of kick-started the engine. There's that EMP, though, so it does a lot of that work. Anakin down, self-destruct from Kenma Hororo to try and answer back a little bit. Does find our bow, which could be the beginnings of a turnaround here if they can pick up another counter trade somewhere.
It's actually a really good pick as well. It's just remove some of the sustain for KIX. You can see they're just losing the ability to heal back up.
Yeah, thanks to Claire, able to get that sound barrier out. They kind of have the grounding upon which to put the foot down on the gas pedal now, but KIX do trade a couple back. So Jupiter not out of the woods yet, but now with Sabagod with the Transcendence, if they need to, they could hit that as a rescue button, but they don't need to. KIX have backed off.
And I think this way, KIX now actually have a decent amount of charge, despite losing. You look at Xinjiang Bao, he used the EMP onto 84%. Now, Elva has Graviton Surge. They have abilities to use for the next fight. They have to take care of Sabagod. If they can make sure that Sabagod is maybe within the EMP somehow, or do something, really pressure him out, that's how they can still get this one. They have two ways to force a Transcendence, Grav and also EMP.
Now Jupiter getting right in and aggressive. Their own Grav out now. Transcendence in, didn't get hacked out. Xinjiang Bao's now committing the EMP as our Bao is already dead. Does get all 6 members, but the follow-up is slow right now. They've only got Kenma Hororo. They haven't even got a third on the point itself, actually. Now KIX can start answering back. Earthshatter first. Bravelav goes down. U6 starting to move back. Xinjiang Bao gets picked. And again, it feels like KIX are executing in the wrong order.
I actually think that was the correct order. I mean, you could argue it should have been the other way around, but
I will argue.
The EMP, well, don't. No.
All right.
EMP was using after it's fine. It's the fact that Arbel goes down, you say, couldn't quite get there quickly enough.
Yeah.
They don't have a speed boost. They don't have anything to get them into position, so Jupiter slowly walk their way backwards. Claire's hacked out, so they don't get the speed boost either. But for KIX, I mean, that's really unfortunate. They do charge up a second Graviton very quickly. In fact, they're going to get it before Sabagod has another Transcendence. Timing-wise, this can still work.
Right, he takes a chunk. Xinjiang Bao feels himself maybe a touch early there, gets a bit of damage out. Really just trying to charge up another EMP here. KIX, they do have some ultimates coming up again, so you've got to say they have actually, generally speaking, led Jupiter in charge.
And I think KIX need to be pressing a little bit quicker right now. Elva, as soon as he gets Graviton Surge, to look for an opportunity. Sabagod's been able to catch up as well.
It's an okay shatter. Only really got Anakin, and now Sabagod throws in himself Transcendence to answer the grab from Elva. Now the grab coming out from Ryu. They pick up Wusik, immediately trade it back. Arbao stunned out as he was channeling the sound barrier. Doesn't die. Bravelav will, however, and Arbao probably won't be long for this world, strictly speaking, as KIX again on the retreat. Jupiter looking to rout.
All right, KIX have the EMP. The good news is they always have at least one important tool per fight. And at one point they actually had both of them up at the same time, but they need to start making some progress. Not a single tick on the point so far. 2 minutes and 43 remaining. Jupiter have one defensive tool here, sound barrier. A lot easier to counter and a lot more difficult to get value in terms of defense against the EMP. So KIX have a certainly good opportunity to get something done, and they need to get something because, I mean, there's only so many more fights they can afford to lose.
Well, well, well. Yep, they've been spotted out.
It's gonna get them a flank for free though, which is nice.
Taking the express train in. Dropping down straight onto the point. Samurai D will take some early pain. Actually gets finished off. Nicely done. Now, Jupiter on the back foot. Stun on Arbao, stays alive, and KIX of ultimates to rotate into. Still got that EMP if they need to, but at this point, they're actually just winning the fight, out fragging.
This is amazing. Look at that. Transcendence already used. They just pressured out. Now the EMP can use later after this.
Yeah, better yet, they can wait till Claire commits a sound barrier. Use the EMP to cancel that out. Ryu and Ken Mahororo dead. There's the barrier. There's the EMP to cancel it. Beautifully done. Samurai D's Earth Shatter nowhere near enough to rescue the fight and turn it back around. KIX, this was excellent execution. This is when you do want to save that EMP for later in the fight.
And it just goes so well, and it doesn't go that well unless they find opening picks. It's been the opposite of that. Every other push, they go in, Arbao's down, someone else is down. They never have the advantage. They never have the players, the correct players available to really take advantage of either the grab or the EMP or anything else. This time, it goes so well, they get Samurai D, which shouldn't have happened. Jupiter should have been able to save him, force both support ultimates out without even using the EMP, and then having the execution to then say, now we get maximum value, you've used everything to try and save yourselves, and we will put the foot down and complete this map.
Foot down indeed. Presumably wearing pumped up KIX. I assume that they're footwear, I don't really know. I'm not really down with what the kids are up to these days. Are pumped up KIX footwear?
What do you pump them up?
I don't know. That's the thing I don't understand. Like, are they inflatable shoes that children frequently wear to school? Not really familiar with the concept. No, I know about J's. That's one kind of shoe I'm aware of. Not really big into my shoes. I mean, aware of.
I know people called J's, or just J.
I know people called J, yeah.
J's would be, you know.
It's a great way to shorten a name. It's just a letter. I know a guy called JJ as well, which is even. It's just. I love it when you can take a long name and just shorten it to a couple of letters there. It's like.
Doesn't work for a lot of.
My name is Bartholomew, but people call me B. Brilliant.
You can't call someone AA.
AA wrong.
BB or CC.
Well, actually,
CJ works.
CC's name.
Okay, I'm wrong about it. Fine. Yeah, right, that's it. Yep. After that, you
put that in your pipe and smoke it.
Defense is a little bit more interesting for a pharmacy comp because
KIX running the same thing here.
The problem is now
stun.
That a lot of damage needs to be done on rotation, and it's rotation for Jupiter because Jupiter need to try and get themselves onto the point. And while that's happening, KIX can't actually contest very well with this kind of composition. Jupiter going to make the couple of changes here. Samurai D on the Winston, Sabagot on the Ana. Both of these picks will probably help out just a little bit more. The only problem is the Ana is slightly worse against the EMP. You don't have Transcendence, so they're hopefully going to try and win before that becomes a factor.
Big yanks on Sabagot, but a good sleep on Wusik helps alleviate a lot of the pressure they would take in rotation. Now Jupiter, this is going to be a time-consuming maneuver though.
Barrage already available, so time is starting to run very short now. KIX need to find a position to get this one in.
Oh, baby.
That could be a kill. They need to really do something about Xing Zhang Bao if possible.
2 for 2 out of Sabagot, but yeah, don't actually want to follow up on it to make a kill happen. Instead, they're just continuing on the point. Claire! Oh, one rocket too many. Here's Dunzo.
And now this is where you possibly win without using a barrage. In fact, he's probably going to save it now. So many Jupiter members down.
I mean, that was excellent. A lot of that was on the back of Elva as well, getting the 3 onto Claire to finish him off, getting the last couple as well onto Ryu, and suddenly the floodgates just open.
Honestly, if you run a Widowmaker here, you kind of just win. I mean, it's not as easy as that, but it suddenly takes Elva out of the equation. This is partly why you don't run this kind of thing on defense, because attackers have compositional swap advantage. If they see this defense, they can play the correct heroes.
You only get access to that advantage if you actually choose to use it. Good hack onto Ken Mahororo there. He is grounded, does stay alive, but KIX, lot to work with still, and Samurai D down, Jupiter retreating, and KIX just preserve the rest of the ults.
And the thing is, KIX don't need to use anything yet. They don't have to use the EMP or the barrage until they have to. It's Jupiter that have to even make it on the point. I'm pretty sure they haven't even touched it at this stage. And it just seems like they are the ones that are finally in the series hitting that brick wall and finding it difficult to get anywhere.
Like you said, looks compositionally, Jupiter. They have the... Oh, man.
It's happening.
Yeah, Anakin's down. EMP cuts across the lot. Claire doesn't get the sound barrier after the EMP this time around, but it's still not really enough to keep the team in the fight. Samurai D goes down. KIX, one ultimate for the whole fight. Like, this is the efficiency of dreams.
Good news for Jupiter is they do get rid of the EMP, but I think KIX have found the weakness here. I think they've found that one gap that they can just pull wide open, and for Jupiter, they should have the advantage of swapping, but unless you actually make that swap, you don't do anything here. You're still stuck in the same place, and they're not using that advantage at all. Maybe they can get this Graviton Surge and that can really do something, but even if you get a pick here, as long as KIX have Arbao alive and in a position where he can res, they can undo that pick very quickly.
Now it's going to possibly be a minefield, or maybe it's going to be held on to for the point itself.
They should just solo grab WuSik, to be fair. They got to get something done.
I know. I mean, they're going to commit a Primal Rage on the point. It does actually get jazzy. Now there's the grab to come out. They need to actually get the kills off it. It is a solo grab on WuSik. Rocket Barrage finds Savagod. That leaves Elva vulnerable. He goes down, but counter trade with Ryu. Still numbers advantage to Jupiter, though, so they are chipping away at this fight slowly but surely. Sheng Jian Bao about to get an EMP. Could just reverse all that work, especially with Samurai D dead.
Oh, no.
Down. There's the EMP, though. Can they get the kills? Closer respawns for Jupiter, and they are not getting the kills. It's just Sheng Jian Bao. One-man army trying to follow up on his own EMP will go down. Jupiter respawn is starting to flood in now as they take the lead in the fight. Ravalav remix, and the tanks are back in play, but Jupiter are largely set up on the point. Nice catch on Claire.
And I think KIX can still do this one. Arbao comes back with the Valkyrie. They can just get a res and even up the numbers here. And KIX are in position to get more work done.
Ravalav gets popped out of the mech, though, and KIX aren't actually getting the kills. Elva does not have the same time and space to work with, even with the res on Jazzy.
WuSik
we had the overtime now. WuSik's so low, they're trying to get him healed up nearly as a minefield, but they're having to back off the point to get some members back in. Now WuSik's deciding, look, it's time to just go, but already low. So is Sheng Jian Bao. He's going to get the mines down, but that is really all he'll get down, and the cap will go the way of Jupiter.
And that was so winnable for KIX.
Oh,
it just happens that Arbao goes down at the wrong time.
Late
and
death.
this is before the recent one. He was waiting for Valkyrie. If he gets the resurrection on Elva, they probably continue defending. That's a full A-hold. And now Jupiter pushed forward. Ultimate advantage. Nano being used.
This fight started as a 6 versus 3 because of how those deaths fell. KIX are only just getting back into gear right now, and that's already with casualties being taken. At least in terms of damage, Ravalav self-destruct, trying to preserve the mech. Doesn't get kills, will not remech. WuSik, low, goes down. Elva, Rocket Barrage, gets one, goes down. KIX, struggling. Sheng Jian Bao needs to EMP, but again, might just be in that same situation as he was on point A, where he was trying to solo follow up.
I think this might be the cap here. I don't think KIX can really do much. Sheng Jian Bao has an EMP, but he needs members to follow up.
And there he goes just as the members come back in. That is what he was waiting for, but already he's down. The follow-up has not been there. The sound barrier again, this time coming after the EMP, does not get cancelled out. Nicely timed, nicely played by Claire, and it's just Jupiter mopping them up. Ken Mahororo still has a self-destruct to preserve this mech. Might not even need it. Jupiter just working double time here. Anakin the only casualty for the longest time, and they should just be able to convert this last little bit of capture percentage.
And if it wasn't enough, they even have the grab self-destruct combo at the end and a nice little touch. Cherry on top. The self-destruct blows up all the mines from the Hammond. And there it is, miraculously, or at least maybe somewhat planned, just a little bit too slow from Jupiter. They do finish with even more time than we see coming through from KIX, so they still manage to get it through.
That was a bit of a rip on WuSik there. I mean, this is the beginning of the end, right? The fact that they decided, no, we're going to recommit, but 3 members with air on super low health, super vulnerable. There was probably a point where they actually should have gone, look, we've got members, but let's just retreat. Let's be ready for a B defense, because they gave this one away.
And look at that, just seeing Savagod in the replays as well, just completely dismantling the members of KIX, and this is where you can really get a lot of value out of this, out of the Ana instead of the Zenyatta, where
it's Savagod playing it, and he's great at the game.
If you are actually landing the shots and landing the sleep darts and doing all of that, then things go well. You see how many Bionades actually got put on OWC, which makes his job very difficult as the Hammond main tank player here. Going on to this attack, this is kind of what you do expect in Jupiter. Got to be in a very similar space here. Samurai D should be starting on the Winston here. They should probably be expecting that either the Sombra or the Pharah or both are going to be on the table. At least the Sombra is going to be there. That's a minimum, so Samurai D is going to start on the Winston.
We haven't talked about it much, but yeah, Sabagod's sleep dart accuracy has been phenomenal. Now into the time bank, 1.5 minutes. Enough time for probably 2 pushes, or 1 very slow one, or 3 very fast ones.
So KIX either need to find some very good opening picks here, or they're going to be playing this point quite slowly, which bleeds away their timer. If they can do something with Elva's rockets, get a quick rocket barrage, that'll be how they open up.
And that's the thing, it could just be 1 slow one, but all that counts is that you get 1 win. Sabagod hags, but stays alive. OWC goes down. That's, yeah.
That was the one member they need to use to contest the point. As he goes down, Jupiter feel the confidence to now push out.
Yeah, that is a trade kill, but the pressure now comes on to these DPSs, and that's what'll get you. They do have a closer respawn though, so KIX are actually choosing to not let up here.
And Hammond's the faster hero as well to get back to the point rather than Samurai D's Winston. So KIX have full members now, still waiting for the full members for Jupiter. You are looking for the first tick. It does come through.
That's just something. They're officially on the board now. Starting to get that second tick up, and Jupiter are actually struggling to contest here. OWC having respawned immediately knocks out Samurai D. So that's the thing. Bravelav does go down with the mech, but oh, nice timing on the Transcendence, but not enough to save Anakin. The DPS is just too high. Claire is well in trouble, will go down. Jazzy, oh, doesn't quite stay alive, but it doesn't matter. The damage is done onto Jupiter, and KIX are looking poised to cap.
And this is very important for KIX as well. If they do not cap A, their own defense here will be very difficult to achieve. Now they get to push on to B. I did like the little step there from Jupiter. As a rocket barrage comes through, they probably feel that it was going to go in. Jupiter just press forward into the rest of the members, and such that happens, Elva only gets 1 kill. But they still take the point, and Jupiter are still on B.
It's only enough time for 1 fight here, though. You get that 30 seconds on the clock. Jupiter forced A to overtime at least, so now less than 20.
Now, this is a very important lineup as well. They have the EMP, and then they have the Mercy as well. Getting the Resurrection could be key in this push if you only have 1 attempt.
Nearly on a sound barrier, but that's all they got to work with. There it is, EMP. Oh, but EMP. Not great at all. That is not what you wanted. Felt kind of forced out as Ken Mahoroto dive bomb Xing Jianbao, and the kills slide the way of Jupiter. KIX just a little bit botched on the execution there, but they got that point A cap. Jupiter, with 242, they will need to get themselves an A cap and then a 3rd of B to confirm this. Otherwise, well, maybe it's a draw. That's still a series win, but KIX still have a winnable situation here. You
see the plays from Ken Mahoroto there, the kind of fine Xing Jianbao, who kind of implicates himself anyway. He throws the translocator onto the other side of a map, gets spotted out. Mahoroto dives him immediately. You can see there, he's so scared for his life. He knows if he translocates, he's actually going towards the enemy team, which might be worse. So it's pressure to just use the EMP in a bad place, catches 3 members, and that ends up being the winning draw for Jupiter as well. They just put themselves in such a great position with that particular play.
And this is it. This is how it all kind of plays
out. He actually, he's out of invisibility.
I mean, that's the thing. It's just a bit rough. They also, I mean, credit to Jupiter, they also made a sort of aggressive counter dive onto the other parts of KIX to try and nip the push in the bud, not let KIX fight on their terms, knowing that there was an EMP. I bet you with that being the case, then when they saw the EMP come out and only on 3 members, they were like, ah, beautiful.
Yeah. It's exactly what they needed. Then AVRL goes down super early as well, so you see a positioning where for KIX, they can afford to lose 1 member and kind of recover from that 1 mistake, but anything further than that is a bit of a no-no. And now going on to this time bank defense for KIX, if they lose A, they lose the entire match because the best result on B becomes a draw, and that does not give them a victory on the series.
That being said, when you consider how long it took Jupiter to cap A, how tough they actually found it, and against this exact team comp, if Jupiter can replicate the success, or rather, sorry, if KIX can replicate the success, and they could actually still full hold here, so let's not count them out.
And they do need to, and I wonder if Jupiter are going to allow that to happen again. We saw how much impact Sabagod had before. He now has to do that and more. There's not a lot of time for Jupiter to work with, and they need a full cap here.
The team is currently split, though, in this first rotation, so that's going to burn some time off the clock.
Eyes on ultimate charge, especially for Elva. The first barrage could be very impactful. Samurai D low.
Yeah, struggling to make it back to the team. Healer's having to work overtime, but that leaves them vulnerable. They managed to keep him topped off, though, incredibly. But the whole time, Elva's just been raining shots that have connected. Huge sleep on Ryu there.
Yeah, just everything slows down.
Oh, no.
That is a good pick.
Elva nearly has a rocket barrage, but he's getting pressured. Excellent fight by Samurai D, and Jupiter looks like they've cracked this one open, and KIX was so close to getting a critical mass here, keeping Jupiter slowed up until they had ultimates, until they could get kills. But this time around, KIX will not get the runaway success that they got on their first A defense. Jupiter will make it a one and done rather than an overtime struggle. This makes it a guaranteed draw at minimum that does secure the series win. Now the question is, do they turn it into a 3-0 and arguably after that a 4-0?
You can just see the cat and mouse chase here. For KIX, they just need to make sure no one gets caught, but once Jupiter gets that paw on the tail, it's all over, and KIX now just attempting to rescue the series in any way they can.
They do the ultimates though for this fight, and that's at least something. EMP available, Nano Boost plus Rocket Barrage. There's the barrage, largely blocked up. Elva nearly dies as well. So that's 2 ultimates, no gain. EMP to come across, no follow-up. They're going to be able to outlast this one. Decent sleep on Ken Mahororo, but he's going to get back up and in the fight before too long. Minefield down, that leaves Wuzik exposed, but he stays alive, manages to pick up some kills, and it has paid off. But there's still a minute on the clock, and that was everything KIX had to go on.
And that's the thing as well. They nearly didn't win that either. It wasn't till the end, after finishing up the Valkyrie as well. No more ultimates. They started picking up some kills. The Minefield doing a little bit of work as well. Jupiter now possibly the final attempt. In fact, it's more than likely the final attempt. They have a Graviton Surge, they have a Nano Boost, they have enough ultimates to use, and they're going to have to rely on just about everything. It's still not over. They need one tick, but in one attempt, they can just as easily lose.
What's the go here for Jupiter, though? They have got themselves a grab, nearly an EMP for Xingjiang Bao. That's a bit of a win condition in its own right.
So there's no defense against the Graviton Surge. That's the key factor here. Once KIX gets caught, no sound barrier, no transcendence. Whoever's in the grab is probably dead.
They send Samurai D forward to make some space with that Nano Boost. He gets right onto Jazzy, huge sleep just before the bubble comes down. That actually takes both Samurai D and that Nano Boost off the table. The grab, it's not a hot one. It's enough to get Wuzik, but there's the EMP, Rocket Barrage. Oh, it's picks up 2. That's what they need. Ryu goes down as well. I'm on the edge of my seat, but man, that is looking like it will be fight secured from KIX. And with only 5 seconds on the clock, it will result in a tie. As we said, that does mean effective series win going over to Jupiter, but the hard work has been done there at the 11th hour by KIX.
I think KIX did it.
They can still draw with a good team here. That is still an achievement in its own right. And maybe they'll still get a map back off Jupiter anyway.
Sounded like KIX did it today. I believe that after the doing it as in like they were able to complete the draw.
Yeah, it came up on the screen. It said draw.
Yes,
so
I did see that.
That's how you know.
Thank you for pointing that out. I do have eyes.
Oh, there they are.
That's what that is. But what we do see towards the end
see them behind the reflective anime antagonist.
Oh, really? I mean, that's part of the look. But what you do see there towards the end is these basically solo grab onto Wuzik. And I mentioned, look, there's no defense against the grab, but I guess the better defense against the grab is if it just doesn't land very well. If it only goes onto one member, yeah, it takes down your main tank. That's a decent deal, but it doesn't.
His name was sarcastic. It was like, woo, sick.
It doesn't do anything against the barrage. It doesn't do anything that time. Yeah. And they've done such a great job of mitigating the barrage damage. This time around, though, when they needed to do that again, it didn't happen. Nano Boost barrage takes 3 members, and that's easily enough to continue that defense and complete the draw on Volsky.
And that's all to say nothing of a couple of other little neat micro plays. It's Jazzy getting the sleep down onto Samurai D just before the shield came down. He was asleep in the shield is how that felt. The timing on that is so precise. It means, because the dart's a projectile, it actually had to be already in flight past the shield when the shield came out. Otherwise, the shield wouldn't have channeled if it had already connected. So really beautiful play.
Just completely denied a full Nano Boost as well for one regular ability.
It takes 2 high-impact pieces off the board. One being the Nano Boost, the other being the Winston pressuring out your Ana.
Yeah, and then you kind of, quote-unquote, whiff the grab as well. It just, everything starts to go kind of wrong there. Do still have a full match win for Jupiter, so they'll be happy to take that one. That doesn't give them the 3rd map, though. They can still get 3 maps technically on the board if they can take the 4th one here, which is going to be Watchpoint Gibraltar.
And I'd like to think that they could, but at the same time, we've seen some limited compositional capability out of Jupiter, and we've actually seen KIX more willing to play on some other things. And I mean, there are some parts that could really favor KIX here.
And it's not even, I don't even know if it's more willing. It's just like, that's just what their team is. If they can get any opportunity, they are 100% going to take it. I think Blizzard World was where we needed to see more of that. I was so surprised they did not bring the Pharah composition out.
It felt like a confidence thing more than anything else. Like they weren't confident themselves playing it. Maybe
I think they needed Elva.
Yeah, exactly. It feels like they were like, okay, no. Unless we've got Elva, we don't really want to commit, except for, you know, the little bit that we saw in Nepal that they ended up swapping off anyway.
Because just to be fair, when Elva was really popping off, when he was hitting those shots, and I'm not even talking about the barrages, that was probably the weakest part of his play, or of the team play in particular, and Jupiter found really good ways of really mitigating that damage, except for, again, that very last usage. It was the general rocket damage, the pressure from the splash damage as well, hitting directs, finding picks so many times on that original A defense, which pushed it into overtime. I still feel like there is a world where KIX can actually finish that A defense, complete the full hold, and then they would still be alive in this series, but just didn't quite have the mileage there. I think that's something we identified along the way. On Blizzard World, they have this big competitive stretch in the middle, but unable to finish at the end.
It's interesting. I mean, I suppose, just to speak to Elva's performance there, it's kind of the nature of the beast right now with Overwatch. Like, people have played long enough that I mean, we know how to deal with most ultimates. We know how to mitigate most ultimates. There are tools that teams have. That's why we don't see Pharahs get huge rocket barrages as often now. And that means if you want to have a highly effective play on something like a Pharah, it does have to be in your regular rockets that you're connecting. Like, getting a high ult charge is really just a way of showing that you're connecting a lot of shots and putting a lot of pressure down. And when they're even getting extra kills on top of that as well, you know, we saw, you know, you land 2 or 3 rockets in a row, get a kill. That's ideal.
And the other person I want to highlight here is when you look at the role swap between Ryu and Kemohororu, we talked about the Zarya side of that. Let's talk about the D.Va side of that. Kemohororu's D.Va in this performance today so far, especially on Volskaya, has been outstanding. We talk about why, you know, what's happening with the rocket barrages. Well, Ken's in his face. The D.Va's always there. He's not being DMA'd too early for the most part, so he's always able to just deny Elva time and time again. And then you also look at the Sombra counter as well. The fact that Xinjiang Bao and KIX have the position to get something done. Rocket barrage available, EMP available. They walk in, Xinjiang Bao gets caught by Ken, and then suddenly it's all over. That's all you really need out of the player, and he's just doing a fantastic job.
I mean, that's the thing, right? At the end of the day, you've actually just got a really good player. You'd be happy to have him on either of those 2 picks. Like, so like, you don't feel like this team is particularly missing out when they swap those 2 over. If anything, it's just an option, and I mean, right now this is the one they feel is better.
I think you could make a case where it's almost like both players are capable on Zarya, but if Kemohororu is better on the D.Va, then that seems like the obvious swap.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm not a lawyer, so I'm not going to make a case, but you know, you could. You're not wrong. Watch point Fez. Is that too close?
Where's that?
It's in Morocco. Oh. It's probably a bit too close to Gibraltar though, so.
Just have another one next to
Watch point.
So it's when you open up the next franchise. You don't want it to be too far away, just close by.
The one, like, watch point Hong Kong. Like, let's take like a busy shipping area.
Yeah, but you kind of also want to be out of the way. Like Gibraltar here, like not much else is happening, so it's a good place to have a watch point.
I don't think you know where Gibraltar is. There's a lot happening there.
I mean, not here.
Well, yeah, because it's an abandoned facility.
Oh, it's also on a rock anyway.
I mean, is it? I don't know that it's on the rock. I think that would be very...
It's on a rock, look. Point being.
I think you'll find this just a cliff. But anyway, it's a lot of rocks. KIX. Well, this is something different.
It is. It's the first Genji we've seen in a long while. And there's no Lucio at all as well, so KIX have to be careful with positioning. Luckily, all their members outside the 2 supports are quite mobile. Nice Bionade, by the way.
Yeah, and Sabagon ends up going down as well, thanks to Dive and Wusik. The pressure becomes insurmountable. Kemohororu even needs to stun just to make sure they finish that one off. So, look, this is a bit of a dangerous team composition out of KIX here. If they do get a bit caught out or over-aggressed upon, they're quite squishy, but they've got mobility to an extent.
It's always up to Jupiter to punish, and we said this about that defense that KIX were running on Volskaya A as well. It's up to Jupiter to punish. And when you have Genji's out there and he's, you know, 67% of the way onto a blade, your Xinjiang Bao nearly on an EMP, it's a huge, huge start for KIX. Jupiter finding themselves, unfortunately, losing fights like that when they're not able to find Elva because it's been so long since anyone's had to play against the Genji.
EMP, there it goes. Gets all 6, absolutely gorgeous. Plus a biotic grenade on the 2 main tanks. Adds a counter trade though to DMAC Bravalab, but KIX have still got a lot in the tank if they want to commit more ultimates.
It's the nano booster, nano on the blade as well. The nano blade coming up next. It's going to be really important to get a lot of value on it because right now KIX losing members should be in motion again soon. Jupiter coming up to the right counters. Transcendence available.
Bravalab died quite late there, was DMAX and actually finished off quite a bit after. So Jupiter back at full fighting streak. This is still a 5 versus 6, but they're still going to be able to commit a nano blade. Anakin goes down, Soundbarrier not quite quick enough to save him, and Samurai is left sleeping. Elva puts the blade away, and that's all they'll get for this one. So KIX committing a lot, not getting much.
And this is why you don't see a lot of nano blade anymore, because it's 2 ultimates invested for, to be quite fair, 0 kills. Jupiter are still able to kind of stay alive right now, waiting for respawns. They're probably just going to reset here. KIX, they do technically win, but not the best, not in the way you expected, not because of the nano blade. That kind of did nothing.
And that's the thing, it's not the critical massive kills you need either. They end up just using a lot of ultimates. Jupiter preserve a few, they go back, they regroup, they come back out, and KIX aren't actually at a big advantage.
Jupiter, though, losing so much time. This is exactly what we saw on that Volskaya attack as well, where they just find it so hard to get past some of the DPSs sometimes, and you feel like if they just catch somebody, they'll be all over. Look at that nade.
Absolutely massive, but not enough to save Jazzy. So the rotation from Jupiter still actually gets the drop on KIX in terms of the fight. EMP out again. All 6 members, great connection. Can they get the kills to follow it up? Self-destruct doesn't do it. Now the hacks run out. Now Bal's dead thanks to the Primal Rage. The grab comes out on the cart to finish off Bravalab. Now Elva's forced out of the fight as well, so Jupiter able to just out-execute when all is said and done.
And KIX is just throwing these ultimates into the ether right now. Elva's still got a blade, but he's nowhere to be seen. And Jupiter about to cap right now, and KIX have no members to defend.
There we go. They're going to have to try and commit a nano blade just to see if they can get a last hurrah. Stun. It doesn't die, stays alive for now, but it's not looking hot. Does get clear, but goes down immediately after.
1 kill for 2 ultimates is just not worth, and this is where Jupiter, if they can continue getting those picks up, and they are, they're probably going to cap.
They're going to have to commit a second Transcendence here. KIX and Sabagod can just answer with a Coalescence, which charges up much more quickly. They're still getting kills as well, which means they're still charging up other ultimates that they've expended. KIX miles away from their next rotation, except for that EMP.
This is where now they just save the members alive, force KIX backwards a little bit as well. Wusik now going to go on to the Wrecking Ball, Elva onto the fire, so it's back to Volskaya strats. But I think on this part of the map, it might be a little bit tricky. There's definitely a lot of ways Jupiter can find high ground positioning. I think Elva might be capped out in terms of actual height distance.
You almost wish they were running this on point A. At least at this point, they might be coming in with some ultimates to boot. But Elva will be able to charge that one up fairly quickly.
Another big EMP.
Self-destruct layered forward out of Bravalab is decent, so this one does pay off for KIX.
The thing is, KIX have had 3 now 6-person EMPs in a row, full coverage of the entire Jupiter squad, but this has been the first one they actually get value out of. They actually win, they actually get picks. They got 3 in the middle of that one. Jupiter do not survive this time around, and to be fair, on A, aside from the opening section, this part of A is still very enclosed anyway, so I just don't know if Farah is very good on either parts.
Now, I mean, the Rocket Barrage is coming up soon. That'll be a bit of a tell, I suppose. A hard ultimate to get much out of it, but at any rate, Samurai D gets aggressive, finds Bao, and that
big kill
is really going to hurt Elva. I mean, it's going to hurt everyone realistically, but also it means no res available. The Nano Boost just getting a lot of mileage. Oh, sorry, not Nano Boost.
Wow.
Just the damage. Primal Rage. Elva's down.
Samurai D is the fly swatter right now. He's able to take down both flying enemies. Xinjiang Bao needs to get something done. KIX need to actually just respawn right now, if anything.
Yeah, I mean, they are respawning as fast as they can. Minefield out from Wusik, I mean, it just doesn't do anything. It doesn't slow up the cart. They're just kind of giving away more kills.
And Jupiter riding this one to the end pretty soon. KIX will have all 6 members, but they need to delay.
There it is, another EMP. This one does not get the full 6. Sleep on Kenma Hororo is nice, but honestly, Elva dies mid-channel of the Rocket Barrage. Our Bao's going to go down, so no res is available. Jazzy dies before even getting to use a Nano Boost, and I mean, Jupiter just... That was a very paperweight fight there from KIX, and by that I mean the weight of paper, not the object that weighs the paper down.
I think this might be a change-up for KIX, which is why you see the ultimates being used there, and kind of almost expected at this rate. Elva uses a barrage and just dies, but actually got to go back on the Farah. Right. I think there can be an argument made at this point is slightly better for Farah, but I mean, they are now finding a huge amount of value so far. Onto point C, Jupiter don't have a lot of time to work with, so if they find enough value, KIX can still hold.
Jupiter's still got a lot to work with here. That's the thing. Grab out on WuSig. You're kind of okay solo grabbing, but gets a lot of healing, gets a nano boost onto him. That's an interesting timing on the Coalescence. They've decided they really want to press on in this fight, but feels like they were maybe a little bit ahead of the game with that one kind of jump the gun. Claire goes down to the self-destruct, and suddenly Jupiter at a numbers disadvantage might actually have to back up here.
And I think there were enough low members for Jupiter to warrant the Coalescence, also a reasonably fast ultimate to charge, so that's something to work with. Sab got changes anyway, so that was probably the game plan at the end of the day. But with 60 seconds remaining and Jupiter still kind of just, you know, at the whiteboard here, trying to figure out what the game plan is. KIX is still just really in position, except for the part where AVRL goes down.
Yeah, I mean, you could always just begin with that. Sure, that's the opening play, and now how will they follow it up?
EMP available, by the way, expecting another big one, but we also need to see good follow-up because that's been a bit of an issue on the EMP so far.
And theoretically they should. They've got the Wrecking Ball ready to go, nearly with a minefield. They've got a Rocket Barrage. EMP out. There we go. There's the connection. Rocket Barrage in. Gets Claire. Again, Mohororo goes down as well, so they have managed to make it work. It's 3 ultimates invested, though, for KIX, and there's still just enough time on the clock for Jupiter to get back on this card.
There's actually a couple members traded here, which kind of helps KIX, or helps Jupiter, rather. Samurai D does also have to escape with his life if possible because we're at now the overtime phase. Well, somebody's got to touch.
Primal Rage does actually allow him to get back to his team to top off the health, then move back to the cart to keep the overtime. Then he gets topped off with that nano boost, and now he's able to get aggressive, so might have actually paid off here for Jupiter. By the way, Ryu coming back on a Doom for self-destruct across the board. Ken gets through, Bravolab gets just the one. Jupiter getting the better end of that trade. WuSig low, minefield out, but still looking to go down here. AVRL killed as well. WuSig still alive, but not anymore, he's not. Elva goes down, no Rocket Barrage. Jupiter back underway at the 11th hour, and it might be just in the nick of time.
And I don't think anyone's going to touch at all, and in fact they do not. Jupiter find that final push they needed, that final extra edge to get them across, and Mohororo once again just finds so much value. He finds the ability to pull that win out for Jupiter on the Diva play.
Really got to comment on Samurai D as well in a bit of a risky spot. Just juggled that really, really nicely. Leaping to the cart, make sure they get overtime. Leaping to the team, making sure he gets some heals. Back to the cart, get some presence down. Good timing on the whole, and they knew that they just barely had the ultimates to make it work.
This was the fight that went so poorly for KIX as well. I mean, they had the Rocket Barrage in there. Ryu just beams them straight down. Unfortunately, not enough protection. And it's one of the things where even if you have Bravolab flying towards you with the defense matrix, which is a funny thing to say, it still doesn't give you enough protection against the beam from the Zarya player Ryu there. But it was still a difficult attack. All things considered, Jupiter took a long time across all 3 points, and somewhat of a miracle to even finish there, because there is a world where Mohororo doesn't pull out a victory and suddenly Jupiter find themselves in a position where, well, they did not finish the map for the first time in the series, and that's a bit of a whoopsie.
All right, Jupiter, overtime, but they made it.
Is it a real Sombra?
Is that a real Sombra? Nope.
Fake Sombra. There's a real Sombra on the side of KIX. You know for sure they're definitely going to run that one, and this has been kind of their A-point strategy. They use this on defense to average success, and now on the offense, we'll see if they can get a little bit more.
Back on the Genji, though, which I don't know how I feel about it, right? They got a lot more out of the Pharaoh.
And you see Jupiter as well, just prepare for this. They have Samurai D on the Winston, they have Sabagod onto the Moira. They kind of just expect a large string of DPSs to come through, and that's exactly what it is.
Now Jupiter just kind of sitting pretty. It's up to KIX to get the pressure down. They are moving the cart though, so.
And this is where KIX is kind of just, you know, keeping Jupiter busy, just saying, hey, look at me, while the cart's moving along. And I mean, no one's really committed anything. And while this is happening, KIX is winning because progression is happening on objective.
It happens slowly, and now we're at that point where, oh dear, oh no, WuSig. That is too much damage. He does, but not for much longer. Jazzy even goes down as well. Jupiter, off the back of getting WuSig low enough decide this is the time to fight, this is the time to go in, contest the kite, get on these members, knowing that if they do so, they will likely finish off OWC and can just kind of press the numbers advantage from there.
Well, I think the strategy there with the Hammer is to try and be annoying, just run through the team if possible. This time just a little bit too unlucky, and for KIX, despite losing that, they get a lot of progress on actual cart position. I mean, it's a good amount of progress. I won't say it's amazing. What they really need, though, is an EMP available, and they're starting to get there, but it's not quite in position just yet.
Now, there's that blade, and a boost nearly available.
Not expecting a lot out of the blade.
So it's got to pay off, though. That's the thing. I mean, you invest 2 picks and a lot of time, and they're actually pushing the carts. Now Jupiter going to move down, going to go to head contest, commit some ultimates. Just rally so far.
They're going really hard for OWC, which has been the member they can most easily get down. Here comes that Nanoblade finally.
There's the commitment, but I mean, first of all, he eats a stun. Now he's being buffeted about by a Winston. I mean,
expected.
This is classic Genji mitigation tactics, and Jupiter. I mean, in the rest of the fight, they're just tearing KIX apart because KIX commits so much onto this one member, it doesn't pay off. I want to see a Pharah here instead. There we go.
And you just see Anakin, he knows what his job here is. He knows the Nano Boost is coming. He knows the Blade is coming. He finds Elva, stuns him out, tag teams in Samurai D to buffet him around, and you know, it's just so expected that the Blade does absolutely zero. Well, we do finally see the Pharah that you wanted to see, but with only 1 minute 30 remaining, they've spent 2.5 minutes getting no value.
It's like, while you learned goats, I studied the blade. It's more like, while you learned goats, I studied... Ugh! It's going to be the EMP out. Does get decent connection. Sabagard down as well in self-destruct. So Jupiter starting to fall behind in this one. Self-destruct from Kenma Hororo. Doesn't get one back, but he does still get one back in pilot form. Still behind in this one, though, and unable to really follow up on this grab here. So looking like Jupiter just going to have to cede this point.
And I think Jupiter now is just kind of, you know, lost the important ultimates. Ryu dying mid-grav means he cannot put the damage in, which is a big deal. And this is where Jupiter need to make sure all members can get out alive so they can actually reset properly. Alva's going to do his best to make sure that doesn't happen, though.
Jupiter got a bit of a rebuild to do here. Nearly up on a coalescence, but that's about all they've got to go on here. KIX, on the other hand, fair bit more to work with. And
this is not a good time for KIX, by the way. They need a good time if they want to really get the time back.
Bezzy. Ooh, all right, he's going to stay alive in this one. But Jupiter decided to just commit. Oh, dear, they commit right into a lot of ultimates, though.
1 out of the barrage has actually been pretty decent for KIX, considering they usually get 0. Mines as well, picking up the other, and Jupiter once again pushed backwards. And right now, you can expect that if KIX can complete this push onto B, they will have a decent time pushing to C, which you'd expect this comp to do even better on. And for Jupiter, still just looking for answers. So far, Samurai D's been the main guy to stop Elva, but if he's not able to do it, then things get troublesome.
Now Jupiter, I mean, every time it feels like they're going into these fights, just hoping they'll frag out a little bit, but struggling at this juncture.
EMP available.
Samurai D is a primal rage, gonna need to pop it. Gets it just in the nick of time before the EMP, but still has to sit tight, can't leap, doesn't have the mobility, isolated from his team. Anakin will end up going down. Jupiter, they committed a big impact ultimate and just didn't get any value out of it. Arbao even staying alive, the healers just kind of pocket each other there for a moment, and KIX winning the rest of the fight while that's all going on. Rocket Barrage to help secure things, finish things out. Gets Kenma Hororo as well, take that, buddy. Jupiter again just not getting anywhere on these defenses.
And this is where you see Kenma Hororo also push it out, means he's not going to be the one to stop the barrage from getting any value in KIX, because they have Jupiter up against the wall. Now, position is very important here. If KIX did not have momentum going through B, and Jupiter had control of that shuttle on the high ground, this Pharah comp wouldn't really work as well. But right now, because Jupiter's still finding their feet on defense, they don't have any defensive position. Elva can do whatever he wants.
Jupiter, where is that resistance going to come from?
Anakin should play Widow. We know he can play a Widow.
I know, it doesn't make any sense. Why is Jupiter being so rigid here when this isn't working? Self-destruct from Kenma Hororo finally makes him some headway. And once again, he's going to get a melee kill while in that pilot form as well. Just that insult to injury. And at long last, they've kind of slowed down KIX, but I mean, this is still going to be KIX coming into the next fight with an ultimate advantage.
I just think that the Brigida doesn't give you as much value here. Yeah, you can maybe bash out Xinjiang Bao. Maybe you can bash WuSik as well, and that could give you a kill. But the bigger problem has been Elva so far. The EMP is problematic only when it's available. Elva's problematic all the time.
And, like, sure, you can stun out Sheng Jianbao, but you can also land a sleep on him even then. It's not like this is the only way they have of interrupting that EMP. Speaking of, there it goes down, does not quite catch Claire, still able to finish off Samurai D, though, and Elva looking to move forward with the Nano Boost with the Rocket Barrage. When will he commit? Just holding tight, and they end up not getting much for the Rocket.
They're waiting for the Diva D-Mech.
Yeah, when they did get that off the Nano Boost part, now they look for the Rocket Barrage part, but unfortunately the members caught up in Ryu's grab. Elva ends up holding off too long on pulling that trigger, waited for the timing to be right, and ended up realizing that there was never going to be such time.
These counter trades are so good for KIX, so the melee kill from Arbel is what's a rare kill thing you don't see every day. And Jupiter just kind of reeling, they need to make some reinforcements happen. That's finally the barrage.
Yeah, he does find an opportune moment, pulls the trigger, commits it. Self-destruct port from Bravalav means that some members here are going to take some hurt. Z-Mech on Ken Mahororo. Oh, not quite. But Samurai D does still go down.
This is where KIX now are just approaching the end point. They have a decent amount of time left. They can still finish this. Jupiter are really hurting for anti-nade and bio-naded.
Yeah, but they do have ultimates. That's the saving grace here as they come out the gates 1 minute to go. It's long response to KIX. Great pick on Sheng Jianbao. Jupiter pushing forward now. They found our Bao. Samurai D does go down, but their force kicks back. That's what counts.
And that's a huge kill as well, because that's the EMP at least delayed for now. That would have been a very important push for KIX, which does get slowed down. And KIX have been winning on a lot of momentum here, where they just haven't allowed Jupiter to really set up a defense, really gain positioning. This has been the first time realistically on C where Jupiter have been able to do that.
I like the wraparound from Wusik. Gets them right onto the back line where Sheng Jianbao has already set up the poise to go EMP, but low has to immediately translocate out. A bio grenade as well. So this is going to be the hack, somewhat mitigated. Ryu does go down, but again, KIX commit a chunk of ultimates, haven't made the progress just yet.
Ryu going down is a big deal because he doesn't have the grab just yet. KIX looking for more.
Oh, gets Wusik. That might just be enough, and now Samurai D presses forward. Pops 2 immediately, 10 seconds remaining. Elba not going to get that golden opportunity. Rocket Barrage, not even late in the fight this time around. Still holding on to it. Few seconds on the clock, just got a barrel towards that payload now. Self-destruct boards, but Bravalav can get there. Wusik re-enters hot. Elba is down already. Jazzy trying to come in on the Bastion. A bit of a last ditch here. Bravalav down once again. Wusik super low. Majors drop. Elba still looking for a Rocket Barrage target, and they're still just losing members. Left, right.
He's got to go.
There's a sound barrier though, and it's going to mitigate so much of it. Elba down! Savagon gets 2 with that bionic grenade. Elba and his pocketed Mercy. And that does mean Jupiter will complete the full hold, barely getting the feet under themselves to dig in the heels in that last little stretch.
It's a lot of sweat you wipe off the brow into that one. It's barely a 3.
Hey, sorry, I'm a sweaty guy.
I wasn't talking about you, but that's okay. So what about me? No. It's a 3. No, that's a sweat in your hand.
Hey, come on.
Hey, sorry. It's a 3-0 at the end of the day, though. And that's what's important, because it nearly wasn't, and this nearly was a win on Volskaya for KIX. I think they had it within the grasp, it's just slippery fingers.
Too sweaty.
Hey, now this time you said it. But I was thinking it. What you do have is, I think, a struggled win on Watch Major Gibraltar is on. But this was kind of mentioned last week when we saw Cyclone Coupling take down Jupiter. They won because partly Jupiter are that rigid, and Cyclone Coupling are one of the most flexible teams in this competition next to KIX. It's just a big skill gap difference. KIX obviously not as good as Cyclone Coupling, so on the same heroes. Jiki, I will say, is probably the better fire, still probably the best fire in this entire region, in this tournament. Jupiter don't have what it takes to take that down. I think KIX watching that match is seeing, yeah, we can use some of the same strategies. We play similar things. We can do similar things. Let's try that, and it nearly worked.
And the tricky thing about this is, like, look, 3-3 is still incredibly strong. It's still kind of the focal point of the meta, but in a big way, we're kind of past its heyday. I feel weird saying that because I feel like last season we actually saw less of it than what we see this season for varying reasons.
I think the first half of the season was very strict.
Yeah, and like, this season still feels like we've seen more of it in a sense, but it's not the alpha and omega. And there was a time where you could just be the best 3-3 team, and that could well be good enough. That time has now officially passed, and that does mean that these teams that are unwilling and inflexible to do other things are starting to struggle. There is not a single team really pushing to high heights that only plays 3-3.
And I think as well, if it's not over yet, it probably will be soon. Patch is going to change for playoffs, so we are going to be introducing 1.34, and I think that's where you really have to start thinking about Is this what we want to continue playing? Lucio, you know, some really big nerfs in that direction, and that's going to really hurt the capability of this current 3-3 GOATS composition. I think for a team like Jupiter, big questions on them because they've been, of our 8 teams, arguably the most rigid. I would say Global Esports are kind of in that bag as well, so they need to also consider what they want to do, but we've also seen them kind of flex when they need to. We just haven't seen as much out of Jupiter, which is concerning.
We've seen it almost not at all. Like even when it's picks,
owning a Junker,
even when it's picks that we know they can play, and that's the thing that I find so baffling about this is there are situations where different team comps would serve them better than what they're playing, and they're choosing not to run this. Like I said, we are past that time where 3-3 is probably the best team composition in any given situation if you can play it well. There are other things you can and should play, and Jupiter are refusing to. They walk away with a win here. I'm going to be honest, it kind of felt like KIX were maybe going to pick up Watchpoint Gibraltar. That's still not a comfortable win either. There's still that tie in there. There was still some really worrying moments for Jupiter. And look, the rest of the competition is only tougher than this.
And on a more lighthearted note, you just see there Kemo Hororo winning the duel of the Baby Divas, which is not something you see all the time because it would require both of them to ult
with a melee kill as well, just like
just chasing after him. That's confidence. But I think Gibraltar in particular is a more telling kind of example because it's one of those maps where it is going to be so much more difficult for a pure 3-3 to get value. I think if you played a range of the other maps, you might have a better time. It's just how it happens, Gibraltar, with the kind of height differences and the way the map's built out. This has been an ideal kind of map pool in some ways for KIX, and I think it's brought the game closer than it might have been had this been a different map pool. Jupiter win regardless, which I think still speaks to their skill level, being that this was not their most favored kind of matchup in terms of both what they faced up against compositionally and also what maps they played on. So the fact they still took out a win here should be, you know, a good news for them, but not comfortable.
It is actually curious as well. I suppose that is one thing that affects the prevalence of you know, when 3-3 is and isn't good, and that is that the fact that the map pool changes from week to week. And I mean, look, some maps are still just really good for 3-3 and probably will be for some time, at least until the next kind of patch rolls in. But other maps, like what you said, especially tonight's gamut of maps, not really the same story. In fact, if anything, I feel like these are almost the 4 maps from each mode that are like the most non-3-3 favored. Like, don't hold me to that flawlessly, but every single one of these, there are totally different team comps that are very, very viable.
And let's go ahead now and take a look at exactly what matches we had.